It's warm out there.
Nope, I don't want to get my toes in there.
Love the angle. Love the angle. It's good.
That guy.
Get your toes in it
That's
too.
a
Oh,
I'm just happy that there's a little bit of sun cover. I moved everything this way.
Oh, yeah.
Because that is ridiculous. I thought about setting this up over there and going wide for the summer, but I don't know if that will might be able to get something up there, even if it's a projector screen.
We make it work here.
To borrow Denise Hovey's projection screen. We'll do that first.
Updates here.
Oh, man. Just give them the
I
live
haven't
stream
heard anything since I'm sure. So we'll see. I'll send home the
30 seconds to a minute.
No, I haven't. Compost bin to
Bearing group. Yeah, I saw a couple. I haven't watched the YouTube. I just seen the Instagram. I bet you there were. There always are. Oh, fuck.
Are you that sign? Oh, yeah, Kelly.
No, leave it.
You're radiant.
Put your water bottle in that.
Run a what?
I don't know if we're gonna
Push it backwards a little bit, like yeah, you're behind your water bottle. Yeah, maybe.
It's all good.
It'll go down in a few minutes.
Whoa.
Sorry, so pretty. I actually.
Yeah, you
Can
are
speak the
right.
flag over there?
All right, everybody, thank you for coming tonight. This is a good turnout for a June evening, and summer jumped on us today, didn't it? You could tell which one of you guys walked here. Pretty easily. But welcome, we're grateful to have you all here. We love your input, we love your participation. Even just being present makes a difference. It shows that you care about your community. So thank you for joining us. We're going to start with Pledge of Allegiance, and then we have something special happening tonight. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'm going to have Ms. Barb Diedrichsen come forward and share some comments. Let me make your mic live. Should we get out?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, everybody. I'm Barb Diedrichsen with the Pleasant Streets Traffic Committee. We're here tonight to honor two of our most beloved Pleasant Ridge residents, Fraser and Kathy Cunningham. I had to go back and look, but several years ago, in June 2021, there were more and more people asking questions about what are these bikes doing on the road and why are they taking over? And I realized that we needed the rules of the road meeting. And Fraser and Kathy volunteered to lead that meeting, and we got a really good turnout. And the result of that is that we came up with the idea for Pleasant Rides, which we've been doing ever since then, at least once a month. Now we do it twice a month. And I can tell you that they've just changed my life. I didn't think I'd go back to becoming a bike rider. I spent 38 years in the Ridge, and I've been riding my bike in the Ridge just since 2021 because it's scary. It's really scary as a mature adult to get out there on a bike on Cincinnati streets. But Kathy and Fraser, through their great knowledge, they're very, very linked into the bicycling community in the city. Kathy has been the president of Winston Bikes. Fraser is an engineer extraordinaire. Anytime you need a bike fixed, he's there for you. He pretty much owns the Mobo shop in Northside and helps kids and people get their bikes on the road. And they become their neighbors of mine. They become very good friends of mine. And they have made a momentous decision, which is sometime in the next few weeks, they're going to be moving to the Seattle, Washington area. So they are leaving Cincinnati. And so we wanted to make sure they didn't leave without knowing how much we appreciate them. So I'm going to turn this over. I want you guys to come up here. And I'm going to turn this over to Jeff, who's going to present you with something.
It's pretty special. I bet you none of you were expecting this. I have a letter from the office of the mayor. This is a proclamation. Be it proclaimed, whereas Fraser and Kathy Cunningham have served as leaders and strong supporters of the Cincinnati bicycling community over many years, and whereas Fraser, and Kathy Cunningham have tirelessly advocated for safer infrastructure for cycling, and whereas Fraser and Kathy Cunningham have promoted bicycling throughout Cincinnati's neighborhoods by leading group bike rides and helping instill confidence in cycling in countless Cincinnati residents. And whereas Fraser and Kathy Cunningham have devoted their expertise and leadership to organizing organizations like Mobile Biking Co-op and Queen City Bike. And whereas Fraser and Kathy Cunningham's contributions to the civic well-being of Cincinnati will be sorely missed as they achieve their dream of moving to the Seattle area. Now, therefore, I, Mayor Aftab Prevail, Mayor of the City of Cincinnati, do hereby proclaim June 4th, which is tomorrow, 2025, Fraser and Kathy Cunningham Day in Cincinnati.
Well, first of all, I think we were both blown away. We had no idea this was coming. And, the rides we created for Pleasant Street or for Pleasant Ridge wouldn't have happened without Barb's tireless advocacy. And I think it's a story that it really shows how, like, as individuals, we can make an effort, and then it really takes the coming together and working together and just the love for our neighbors and our community that is what makes the magic happen. And gosh, we're so honored to receive this blown away. But also, the efforts we made are far outweighed by the joy and the love and the community that we received from the riders in our group and from our neighborhood businesses. Community Happens Here. We start every ride at Community Happens Here. We gather afterward at Night Giant, and we're always welcome and so well cared for. And it's, really making use of those third spaces that the urbanists talk about. And when we get together on our bikes, we turn the streets into a third space. Instead of a hostile environment, it becomes a place of love and joy. So, wow, thank you very much. Really honored.
Thank you so much. I have nothing to add to my wife's wonderful statement. Thank you. It's been lovely sharing the neighborhood with you guys, and we had a lot of fun here, and it's going to be hard to top, but we will miss you. Thank you.
Thank you. We are going to jump straight into our agenda now. Officer Martin.
Sorry, that I had to follow that. Actually, overall, we're doing good as far as crime. We had a couple of auto thefts, attempt. That's the Hyundai and Kia debacle. And then we had a theft at a nursing home. But other than that, we really don't have too much. A couple of cars were broken into at a golf course. A lot of people left their credit cards, driver's license, things of that nature on the seat. So we know what happens when that occurs. As far as the traffic report, it says May 2025 crashes were slightly higher than previous months of 2025. But year to date is slightly lower than 2024. There were 17 total crashes. 94% of them were damage only. One crashed with possible injuries. The actual locations were the Montgomery Bridge, the Sanibel Triangle. And most of the crashes happened between the hours of 9 a.m. and 5 p.m. Let's see. We had 5 traffic stops, and that was lower than April. And let's see. And that is it. So if you guys have any questions or concerns in your community, the best way to reach me is email. A lot of people call and it takes me a while, but most of the time I'm out in the field trying to get everything together as far as the complaints that are, I try to go from community, because this is not my own community. But the best way to reach me is email, because I'll get that faster than a little voicemail. So does anybody have any questions for me? Yes.
Quick comment. On June 1st at 4:45 p.m., I noticed a homeless man approaching a female driver in a convertible at Liaison and Montgomery Road. It looked like the driver was a bit uncomfortable with the situation, and she almost was trying to figure out whether or not to run the red light. So I just thought I'd throw that out there. It's not the same homeless man that's up in Kennedy Heights. The other thing is, some of the protesters down at the Tesla dealership are coming into the road and approaching drivers and cars. I know they have the right to do that, and I understand they have the right to protest. I understand that that's Columbia Township, that's not their jurisdiction. But things that happen in Amberley Village, in Kennedy Heights, sometimes come down the road and end up at Pleasant Ridge. The protesters have the right to protest. However, some people may not understand what they're doing, or some people may be concerned that you've got people approaching your car. Probably further out.
Those are great comments, concerns. When you have them, please email them to me so I can take a look into it and investigate it, okay? But I didn't know anything about the Tesla stuff. When does that happen?
It happens, well, we protest every Saturday, I think, by certain hours, couple hours. I wrote it down when I noticed the people coming out in the street, but I don't have it with me.
We actually advertise on one of the handouts.
Really?
Yep.
Well, you're right, that is not our jurisdiction, but I will investigate and see what you feel about that. But any other questions, long questions like that, concerns, the best way to do it is email me, because half of the things that you're saying, like, I don't know. I mean, there's so many things going on, but I can't give you an answer because I don't know, because I haven't investigated those particular concerns that you have. But the best way to do it is to email me. All right, thanks, guys.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bear with me a second while I try to mess with this in my placement. I did not want to cooperate. Oh, jeez. It's a company of errors. All right, we do not have anybody from Engine 8 here tonight, and then CRC as well. Summer camp is full. They want to be announced. The summer hours for CRC have changed. So they open 9 to 2 on Saturday, and then during the week it's 7 to 7. And that's their only announcement for CRC. And then we have Miss Jennifer Horn. Did your question have to do with one of the 2 departments I just mentioned?
Got a comment about the fire department. I talked to the captain, he was down on Marion, and he said, good news, they've got a rumor going around that they are getting money to rebuild or build a new engine 8. They need to find the property. The fire department doesn't actually own the property, the city of Cincinnati owns the property. One thing that we need to do is we need to make sure the fire department stays here in Pleasant Ridge somewhere. We need to put on our thinking caps where there might be some property where they can move to. They've got specific rules about, they have to be able to turn right, and this and that, so. But he asked me who the president was, and I told him Jeff's our president now, so he was gonna try to get with you. I don't know if he's gotten with you.
No, but I'll contact him directly and We'll start and see what we can do. Okay. All right. Ms. Jennifer.
Yeah, right. Hello, just a couple of things. We have a ton of things going on this summer, so I encourage you to look at the Pleasant Ridge calendar, come into the library, look at the library's calendar. I'm not going to list all of them. One thing I do want to promote is our summer reading program kicked off over the weekend, so please bring your kids, grandkids to the library, any library, to get free books and just to encourage literacy over the summer. And a big thank you if you came out on Saturday for a kickoff. We had 450 people approximately, which is the biggest program I think we've had in the 7 years I've been at the branch. And then finally, we've had some donated funds for program presenters for adults or families. So if you have ideas, things you want to learn about, things you want to explore, come talk to me. We're kind of doing some great community input so that we can spend that donated money wisely in a way that's going to benefit the community. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Love the library. Spent a couple hours there today. My son would rather do his summer work from the library than from home. All right, so we're going to jump straight into our executive committee reports. After each of us presents what we have to present, we will make room for question. We'll do our best to repeat the questions because we know there are people that if they're not watching currently online, they do watch the video back once the link is shared out via our email. So we will do our best to kind of repeat those questions at least in a brief manner. I've got a few things to get to today. I'm going to go kind of quickly. So if there are any questions, I don't know if you want to jot down a note, send me an email afterwards if it's not that urgent, whatever. First thing I want to address is that it's publicly available on the city's website, the recommended city capital budget for it's technically for fiscal year 26 and 27, but there are things that are actually already being budgeted for all the way out to fiscal year 2030. With that, we have the Ridge Road repave, which says that the funding is coming out of fiscal year 26, and that's $3 million. This is the first year of availability from the sale of the railways. If you're not familiar with that, the city sold part of the railway, and they're going to be using that money for infrastructure projects. This is the first year any of that money has become available to spend. And Pleasant Ridge ranks 4th among all neighborhoods in total spending for next year at 5.4%. And 62% of all of the revenue that came from that sale is being used on streets and bridges. So when they said that they were going to use it for infrastructure, that is what's happening. And some of the infrastructure does include some rec centers and some parks and whatnot, but the majority of it is going to be going to streets and bridges. And we're happy to have Ridge Road being repaved. I know going the speed limit downhill on Ridge Road, you hit the bump the wrong way and you feel like you're going to join the opposite, going neighbors, if you know what I mean. There's also within the budget, with the spending beginning in fiscal year 28, a complete interior renovation of this recreation center. That project is to be completed in 2030, so it's a project that's starting in 28, ending in 2030, and it's going to be budgeted for $5.75 million. So this is getting a pretty huge overhaul. It looks like from the budget that's been proposed that the work will actually begin towards the end of 29 and be finished in 30. So I think that's great news. One of our community budget requests was about at least the outdoor portion of this facility. And we all know what it's like to go up and down Ridge Road on a regular basis. Another thing I wanted to report on was our community budget requests. So within that budget are the comments from the departments responsible for each community budget request. So every neighborhood gets to put in up to 3 requests every other year for something to be included in the budget. And we entered 3, and I will quickly give their synopsis of their response. So we asked for a Woodford Road redesign, which included a couple of freeway stop signs, a couple of crosswalks, a change in the speed limit. The answer says yes in part. That's because Ohio code actually sets the speed limits, not the city. They checked all of the intersections, and the only intersection that made any sense to even think about a stop sign was Robeson, and that's an ongoing question mark. but they are gonna add a crosswalk based on pedestrian count to Robeson Road across Montgomery. But that's separate from the 311 Cincy additional stop and crosswalk that's supposed to be added. It came after our community budget request. It's from a different budget, not from the capital budget. So there's a potential that a stop and 2 total crosswalks will be added to Woodford Road. Bump outs and speed cushions and whatnot were deferred to the traffic calming and safety program. So essentially we would have to decide that it's a priority again next year and apply for that as opposed to a different location. For CRC pedestrian safety, we asked for multiple things, but from the beginning of the CRC's property to the end of the property, we asked them to widen the sidewalks and put some sort of barrier with planters or bollards or something between the street and the sidewalk in order to keep kids safer, make people feel safer walking up and down Ridge Road. To get here, obviously there's a day camp here all summer long. You see how busy the pool is. The playground is one of the main attractions in our neighborhood. This is pending further review. Essentially, the Department of Transportation says we can have the sidewalk, but we need CRC to approve it, and also need to figure out who's going to own the planter situation. So it's pending further review with Department of Transportation saying yes, we can widen the sidewalk. So once those departments communicate, we will have a more clear answer. We also asked for a complete overhaul of the playground, including a new playground and some ADA access, some water fountains, a shade structure. We even asked for permanent bathrooms. This is a yes in part as well. There's no funds for replacing the playground at the moment, and currently, even though CRC says that this playground is past its shelf life, they have done some improvements to try to extend that. But it's 20th on the list to be replaced as a playground, so we're looking a little bit further down the road on that. ADA study is going to be completed to figure out how to best budget for the ADA improvements, but CRC is 100% saying yes, this needs to happen. They are going to add an ADA accessible water fountain to the pool filter building over here on my right, your left. That's also going to have a bottle filler, and they are going to work on ADA access. They do approve of bench seating by the ball fields, and they do approve of the shade structure. CRC they don't have budget within CRC to add permanent outdoor bathrooms to any of their properties. In fact, I've been to a couple more recently, and they pretty much just don't exist. The porta potties is what they use. Cincy Parks is a maybe sometimes, but CRC does not. So that's we don't know the timeline on those things yet. Again, the budget hasn't been approved, and we haven't actually heard directly from the city office about these yet. But all the comments are already available via what is shared. So I wanted to share that with you all. These will be some kind of quick hitting ones. Play in the Park at Community Heights Park begins tomorrow. It's each Wednesday in the months of June and July. I've walked from my house down there several times last summer. My son enjoys it. There's live music, there's activities, it's all free. PRCC is one of the sponsors, the donors to that program. And so on July 16th, they're actually doing a PRCC spotlight night. So I know that I will be there, and we'll get more information about that as we contribute based on what we fundraise in the community with Luminary and Rich Day, et cetera, towards that program, which has been awesome to revitalize that park from a place that a lot of people used to be scared. They used to be scared to go into, and now it's become a place that families are frequenting from our community and from Community Heights. Another one is we have an opportunity for service on June 28th. We will get more details out in email, but we are working with an organization called People Working Together Cooperatively. Yes, that's the name of the organization. What they do is they find people that are in need, most of the time senior citizens, and we found a senior citizen here within Pleasant Ridge who has a big deck in the back that needs to be refinished for safety purposes. And so we're gathering volunteers for that. We already have basically a team leader and several of the people that are involved in our committees. I know plan to be there that day. So if you know how to work a piece of sandpaper, if you know how to use a broom, if you know how to hit some nails back into some wood, you know, use a paintbrush or a roller, any of those things, we would love your help. Many hands make light work. So another couple of announcements that I want to report on is I met with the current Gateway leaders. If you've looked at our website at all, we at some point Pleasant Ridge was kind of subdivided into 4 quadrants, and within those quadrants there were basically a smaller representation, and the idea was to get greater engagement with the residents within our community. I don't know exactly how long, as I've only lived in Pleasant Ridge for 3 years. That's been going on, but from everything I can find out, it didn't really accomplish that goal. So we're going to readdress what that looks like to try to engage the community better in different ways. So for now, gateways are no more. They could come back, but for now they're no more. But I need to make that as a public announcement. And the last thing is, as an executive board, we used that community survey that we put out several weeks ago to organize the efforts of PRCC, especially of our exec board, into some strategic pillars. And we presented it a couple weeks ago to our committee chairs at that last executive meeting we had, and we're going to be essentially putting a bow on that work to the best of our ability in a couple of weeks, and we intend to present that work to you at our meeting in August. There is no July public meeting. This is your first of probably 2 or 3 reminders that we do not have a public meeting the first week of July. So we will be presenting that work in August. So if you want to be here and be present to be able to ask questions or make comment on that, I highly encourage you to come. I made it. Oh, yes, questions. Nobody looked like they had questions. That's all. Thank you, Jim.
Very old question. The residents of Hyde Park got together a petition to get something on the ballot about the large hotel that they were going to build over there. And I know there's been a lot of discussion in the past regarding the connected communities and that. Was there a vote here in Pleasant Ridge at any time as to whether or not to support the Hyde Park Community Council or do anything with connected communities? I appreciate the emails that you've been sending out. I try to read them as much as possible, but I might have missed that.
There was not any public vote on supporting Hyde Park Community Council on the project. When it came to connected communities, before I was on council, there was several discussions, but connected communities was something that was basically passed by city council with some input by the communities. My understanding is that most, and I have to do more study on this, that most of the communities, the majority of the communities did overall approve, that there were some holdouts, and I know that Pleasant Ridge had originally made a stance that we were not in favor of connected communities changes to zoning. But in terms of the Hyde Park situation, we were in a position where we had so much happening here. We didn't have time enough to dig into the details enough to know whether or not we could make an accurate stance on either side of the matter. And so we decided not to take a stance on one or the other. We were contacted by a separate agency, not their community council, called Save Hyde Park Square. And once we know that it's going to be on the ballot, they may come and present their position. But from there, we don't really have any other comment to make because it's not really our matter. But any other questions?
All right. Hey everyone, I'm Josh Willman, your vice president. It's an honor and joy to serve you. I will go through a couple of topics. So first of all, we have a Pleasant Ridge Community Council marketing intern this summer. Her name is Savannah Stevens. She will be in our community every single week. So she's working 15 hours. She's from the University of Cincinnati. Very excited about community engagement, community building. So every Tuesday, you will see her at Community Happens Here, helping Ruth Ann and working the sidewalk hospitality. And then she also is helping us with some neighborhood branding and identity work. So looking at refreshing some of our brand and logos. And then as well, she is operating as a marketing coordinator. So think our newsletter, Instagram, Facebook, Ridge Day. And then lastly, doing some Pleasant Ridge Business Association marketing support. So very full, busy summer. She's with us for about 12 weeks. You'll see her in and around the community. And as a part of the neighborhood identity and branding work, she might be reaching out to some of you all, or you might see her doing surveys with a clipboard. So if you see her, say hello, be kind, answer her questions. She's not going to ask you about changing your electric service. I will not comment further on that. All right, so that's Savannah. We're excited to have her. I will also be sharing updates from the Pleasant Ridge Development Corporation, so PRDC. I do this every month. There's a pretty fair amount of updates on that front, but I'll try to be swift. So the Neighborhood Business District Improvement Program, NBDIP, the Pleasant Ridge Development Corps submitted an application. It's very thorough, long, there's a whole process that goes involved. And the two projects that we presented for were one, some money to improve the pocket park, and then two, to pay for some speed cushions to slow the cars down by Pleasant Ridge Montessori. We were one of two projects that were submitted that involved street safety. The requests total for all the neighborhoods in Cincinnati were close to 4 million, and that program only has about 1.8 million to disperse. So I imagine, and it is very competitive, but I'm hopeful with being a street safety request that it can be approved. But we won't know until July. So stay tuned on that specific project and then NBDIP as a whole. Another fun acronym, NCCIP, Neighborhood Catalytic Capital Improvement Program. I think they do this to just keep us on our toes down at City Hall. Like what? Yes, exactly. So NCCIP, Pleasant Ridge Development Corps, Pleasant Ridge Community Council, and Pleasant Ridge Business Association collaboratively submitted a request for $75,000 to do pre-development work. So think urban planning with all of the different sites that PRDC owns, and then some other key sites in the neighborhood. And we won the grant, which was awesome. So they really believe in the community. Applause for the neighborhood, not for me. Super exciting. So very competitive program. And those funds are unlocking for us working with Yard & Co. The project kicks off this Friday, actually. So those three organizations are getting together with Yard, and we are mapping out what the whole summer will look like. It has significant data analytics and research, community engagement, and it's really putting together an urban plan for our business district so that we can further partner with developers, different business owners, property owners, to help bring to life a plan that matches the needs and desires of the neighborhood. So this is huge progress. We want to do it strategically. Real estate development is very slow, especially when you add the government as a part of it, but also the government brings some money, which unlocks opportunity. So very excited about that. We will share more updates as we're looking for input and volunteers. And there's a large representative contingent from the three organizations. Demolition. So the path of progress involves demolishing some buildings that no longer are serving a purpose in the community and structurally. We shared this last month, and it now has been approved by the city's zoning board of approvals. So 6100 Montgomery, the corner building on Ridge and Montgomery, the old jeweler shop. And then there was a lovely write-up in the Ridge newsletter. Thank you so much, Jen. That was awesome. I learned a ton of stuff. So cool building, but no longer structurally sound. And so it will be coming down along with the Burger King, which many people are ready for that bad boy to come down. Those are coming down in June/July. For the corner building on 6100, so right in the heart of our city or of our neighborhood, grass will be planted and it will become an interim pocket park. The plan is for it to eventually be developed into another mixed-use building, but it'll be an interim pocket park. This is super important because these buildings are appealing to developers that progress is happening. We're aware that some of the blight and some of the abandoned, or not abandoned, none of them are abandoned, vacant buildings have caused certain developers or business owners to say, hey, I'm just not quite sure about what's happening. And now this will cue to the community. We're able to do this. So we got funding from the state to be able to do that, which was very great. Last update for you, you might have seen on Facebook that Nick Tesla, who used to run Revolution, is now in commercial real estate. And so from a Pleasant Ridge development course of bringing development into the neighborhood, PRDC is sharing an update. He has shared that they have secured a tenant for Revolution that will be coming in. They haven't announced it yet. So Revolution, that building will have a tenant coming in. And then now Nick is the leasing agent for the Ridge down by PRM, and there's 2 retail spaces or restaurant spaces there that they're still actively looking for. So if you know any businesses that are interested in coming to the Ridge, let Nick know or let us know and we'll pass it along. That was a lot and super fast. I'm happy to answer any questions. Brad?
Yeah, the 6100 Montgomery, does the Ohio Department of Transportation still have some interest in that spot to potentially shift the road over, or is that not happening?
I'm not aware of that interest. There was a right-of-way and easement that went
That's
into,
what I'm trying to say.
that went into the building a little bit, because I'll spare everyone the details. But a right-of-way and an easement had to be removed for the sale of the building to take place. What I am aware of is that is potentially an option still, that the city could come back to us and take back ownership of that land if they saw purposes for transportation. We're not aware of that being a top idea. We would like it to become developed, but that is a potential option, and I have not been updated on it recently, and it sounds like Jim has an idea.
We were informed at one point by the Department of Transportation that the road shift would actually have to happen where the comic book store is to line that intersection up better. It actually wasn't that portion. There's ways that they can make it more useful and probably a little bit safer, but they did give away essentially, or there's an official term. They essentially said, yes, you can have that property and buy it and build on it.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think they sold it to BRDC for $1. So yeah, it's a tiny little strip. Any other questions? All right. I got the wrong way every time. Oh, I was right. I'm wrong. Let's start. It is Jesse Frank, our treasurer.
Oh, the introduction. Thank you. Hi, everyone. I'm Jessie. If we haven't met, pleasure to serve you as well. Couple updates. So, of course, our NSP grant. Want to give you an update on where the funds stand right now. So, again, reminder, we got a $10,000 grant for 3 different projects in the community that we voted on and discussed a couple months ago at this point. So the projects were for beautification, Ridge Day, and the administrative expenses for a storage unit. Beautification, we put $6,000. As to this point, we've spent about $2,200 on the spring sidewalk maintenance, tree ring mulching, herbicide, weed eating situation up in the downtown business district. Sandscaping is our vendor for that. That was completed in early May, so that has been spent. So about $3,800 remaining. The lantana just got planted, so that expense will go through really soon here. And then Sandscaping is going to come back and do a summer maintenance plan as well. So that's what will finish up the rest of that $3,800. That'll be done by the time we meet next in August. So you'll see all that beautiful work in the downtown business district. For Ridge Day, we talked last time. We have $2,000 on the stage, tent, chairs, umbrellas rental for the event. And since the last meeting, we have another $500 spent on Rumpke. That covers 2 standard restrooms, a handicap restroom, and all of the trash boxes for the event. So we have about $488 remaining from that. It was a $3,000 budget. We will easily clear that with the rest of the deposit for the rental. So that will also be done by the time we talk again, because August 2nd is Ridge Day, so be one of your many reminders. And last piece is the storage unit. So we had budgeted $1,000 for that. That was based on about a $930 expense from the previous year, and expecting a little bit of an increase into 10% year over year, because storage units always increase. But the very wonderful ladies at the Los Angeles Store and Lock did not increase our rent this year and charge us the exact same price, which is really great. They did not have to do that, but thank you so much to them. So again, we spent $930 for the second year in a row for a 10 by 15 storage unit over at the Los Angeles Store and Lock. That is about $70 under budget. So because NSP is such a paperwork heavy grant, we will have to fill out one document at the end of the year and shift that $70 onto most likely Rich Day, because we know we'll blow that budget out just in general, be $3,000. But I will have to fill out a piece of paper, but we will be in compliance with that, and we saved a little money, so thank you, Zanville Stormlock, for that. So overall, we have about $5,600 remaining, mostly on beautification, but by the time we talk again, we will have spent everything for NSP and be way before the November deadline, so we're very happy about that as well. All right, and additionally, no new word on the neighborhood mini grants through the Invest in Neighborhoods where the MSP grant comes from. That was that new grant this year that they had told us at the beginning of the year would become available. The last rounds to get your NSP grants is June, is right now. So I expect to hear more about that by the time we meet next. And hopefully there's a little bit of money we can go apply for as well later in the year. Right, another follow-up from last month, if you were here, PRCC agreed to act as a fiduciary to the Friends of French Park group, who works Friends of French Park to do a planting event later this year. We're acting as a fiscal sponsor because they're not a 501c3, so they couldn't apply for grant funds on their own. We agreed to work with them, and they got a $1,500 grant for an October planting event. They submitted our information. The check hasn't been mailed out yet, and we haven't received it, so we're following up to make sure they get their money, but it's an October event, so we're okay with timelines. They're not going to start spending soon, so we're working on getting that check right now with fill up with the group, so we'll let you know next meeting what goes on with that. And last piece is something a little new. So through the Friends of French Park and the fiduciary requests, I worked with Pat, who's the treasurer of the Kennedy Heights Community Council, because they do a lot of fiduciary requests to get a better sense of what the paperwork looks like, make sure we're in compliance and we do everything by the books. He was really helpful, and he invited us to be a part of the audit committee at Kennedy Heights. So tomorrow's the first meeting. Not sure what to expect, but we're doing an audit of the books for Kennedy Heights Community Council, which I'm excited to be a part of because with the bylaws for PRCC, at the turn of every new treasurer, we have to perform an audit. And I just got voted in again, technically not a new treasurer, but I do want to just start going the audit process. There's no reason not to do one annually. Why wait 2 years? So I'm gonna go through their process with them, see what it looks like, and hopefully bring it back and do something here at PRCC. So I'll let you guys know more about that, what it looks like. So I'm excited to be a part of that and collaborate with them as well. Okay, that's the last part for treasurer stuff. Does anyone have any questions? Awesome, thank you.
Gosh, well, I don't have anything nearly as exciting as like buildings being torn down or money, but if you got onto our QR code today, which I was passing around on my phone because the lovely laminated, printed, beautiful things are under my desk at work. But that folder that it takes you to has all kinds of good things in it for you. The Pleasant Ridge calendar is there. It is a very shall we say, scrappy document where we just list things. That's the best we can do at the moment until we get a new website. But that calendar is there for anything going on in the Ridge. You are also welcome to submit anything that you know of. In that folder is also meeting minutes from last month. So we were going to go ahead and approve those minutes if anyone had a chance to look at them or not. Do we have anyone first for approving of the minutes? Thank you.
I'll second it.
Great. Names I know. Wonderful. Thank you very much. That's all I got.
Thank you, Scott. And thank you for recommending and for seconding. All right, so we're ready to jump right into our community council committee reports. Brandon, I didn't talk to you ahead of time. Did you have something you wanted to share? All right, Brandon is our safety block watch committee chair.
Hey everyone, I'm Brandon, safety chair. We meet the Monday following this meeting every month, except for July and January. Almost at December. July and January. at Goodfellas. So if you have any questions, or just want to get to know what we do with the community, please drop by. I always buy the first round. So if you're going to drink on Monday, that's what I do. Couple things just to remind everybody. The city is very data driven, and if you have a problem in the community, the best way to get it addressed is by telling the city somehow in one of their metric applications that this is a problem. The one that most people know is 311. So if you don't have that on your phone, definitely recommend downloading that. It has a lot of stuff on there. You can report everything from potholes to pedestrian issues for our Pleasant Streets folks, to people experiencing homelessness, and they can report where they're camping, and that gets routed to a bunch of different city departments and nonprofits. And I actually saw like an actual 311 call going around the other day. So that gets routed there, and that gives you an ID number. You can follow up. I can actually help you follow up. Sometimes we've gotten some of our council folks involved in getting something addressed. The other one I want to make sure everyone has is the City of Cincinnati Police Department's non-emergency number. So we're all familiar with 911, how you threaten issues, et cetera. It's 513-765-1212. So if you see something that is concerning from a public safety perspective, maybe doesn't warrant the level of 911 and you don't know what to do with it, definitely call that number, report it, whatever, as much detail as you can give. Number one, that goes into a statistic, and they track those metrics. And number two, they get assigned priority, and based on that priority, someone may or may not be dispatched. But we use those things when we talk to Officer Martin, when we go to the city council, and we're essentially competing with all the other neighborhoods for resources, right? So when we come up and say, hey, we have a problem, they go look at that address and they go, we've gotten 0 complaints. We show them a bunch of emails and they go, great, but we have, Avondale, or we have Kennedy Heights. We have all these other neighborhoods that are very organized, and they get those stats in, and they can really justify new resources. So definitely use those resources to your advantage. And if you are not getting traction, you can reach out to us, you can reach out to me, try to help things along. But that's really important. But, any questions?
Can you repeat the non-emergency phone number?
Sure. So 513-765-1212.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
Do they ever just, I've heard that sometimes they have social workers instead of cops. Do you know anything about that? Can you tell us at all?
Sure. So there is a program. I don't know if it's a pilot program. I'll actually touch base with Officer Martin to see if we're in the list. But
I could answer that. It's the mobile crisis line. So if there's ever mental health, homelessness, that kind of thing going on, that is the number to call. It's through University of Cincinnati, their Psychiatric Emergency Services, PES.
I know there was another one where they were actually having social workers do ride-alongs with Cincinnati police.
Yes, there is another program that they're following up on, overdose deaths with the families. So that's hopefully nothing we encounter, but they do have that program. I don't know of any others, but there could be.
Yeah, I'll ask Officer Martin about it. And then there's actually another number I can give you. It's 381-SAFE, and that's if someone is experiencing homelessness. You can give them that number, they can call it, and then someone will do an intake on the phone, and it gives them access to all the social services agencies, to get housing, to whatever needs to be done. So it's called Central Access Point. It's one-stop shop for everyone experiencing homelessness. So yeah, that makes sense as well. But I'll ask Officer Martin, because I know that there were a couple of pilot programs and I don't know how far that made it.
Josh just looked up the mobile crisis line. If somebody wanted to take that number down, I'm going to say it one time. 513-584-5098.
Great. Anything else?
Okay, thank you, Brandon. We are working as we refresh our website on a resources page that would have a lot of this information. I do know that it is becoming more of a standard throughout the United States. I know that Cincinnati police department made a statement specifically about trying to use more social workers for certain applications. So if you call the non-emergency line, unless it's a police officer needs to show up in that moment because they decide it's an emergency, they will then decide how to, what's another word, how to respond in general. Awesome. Great, so we have Pleasant Streets next. We are waiting on updates from the Department of Transportation. That's our update. Right. Mike, did you want to share anything or just?
I'll cover a minute. Yes, one quick thing.
Mike Cummings with beautification.
Hi, everybody. Mike Cummings, beautification. Just wanted to say one quick thing. I had someone ask me this over the weekend, and I thought it was good to share with everyone. So we have the Lantana that was just planted. As you know, we have a great network of volunteers that water our plants for us. Just want to say, you don't have to be one of those people. If you happen to look like one of those plants, you see it looking bad, you want to water one, great, do it. There's no rules. I asked on the David who charge, you cannot overwater these. So if you see a pond in your area, the neighborhood needs some love, feel free to water it. That's all. Thanks for everybody that volunteers. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much. To you and to your team, it always looks awesome when you guys do a fresh planting. I actually saw 9 Giant repurposing the little purple flowers. They were taking theirs out and make space for the Lantana. They were planting them back on their patio in the back, which is awesome. Do you have a question, sir?
Yeah, is there a program for evaluating and trimming low tree limbs that have leaf branches, I think about 5 feet above the sidewalk level? They used to go around and
Yeah, so for the question, if those here online, is about low-hanging trees hanging over sidewalks at head/face level and or blocking signs. I'm assuming you're thinking about that as well. You use the 311 Cincy app or call 311. You can report those you use the address through the app or give them the address, and then they will take care of that. Either the city will take care of it or they'll send Duke out to take care of it, depending on where the tree is and what it's blocking. But there is a program for that. I personally did it right next to the Walgreens parking lot because there was a sign that was literally invisible from the street because the tree was growing right in front of it, and they were there within 5 hours. Not always that fast, but they do it out and take care of that for safety purposes. Any other questions? Awesome. Ridge Day, it's coming.
I'll take that one. Yeah, Mark just got back, so. I'll take that. Hello, everyone. Not only am I a treasurer, but I help out Barb with Ridge Day. It's the most exciting event of the year. I love being part of it. So if you were here last meeting, you heard me give a couple updates on sponsors. Wanted to give one more. Now we're about 2 months out. So we brought on an additional 3 local business sponsors in the past month, which puts us up to 21 to date. Last year we had 30 sponsors, so we're well on track. We're at about $8,200 in sponsorships this year, based on, and then comparatively to last year, $9,700. So we're only like $1,500 off from exceeding last year. And we have so many people we're following up with to get them involved. So we're very excited because all of the proceeds raised from this event go right back into the community. All these committees that you see, the money that helps them fund them, do all their initiatives and all the new things that we're doing, a big part of it comes from Ridge Day. So we're very thankful for our sponsors, our vendors, and all of you for attending for Saturday in August, 8/2 this year. The other new item I wanted to throw out there, so we do have a vendor market at Ridge Day, which is open for anyone who would like to apply if they're interested in participating. So if you're a vendor, if you sell things, we'd love to have you fill out the form. And if you have any interest in participating with us, we typically have around 30 vendors and nonprofit booths, so 30 booths around the parking lot. So if you or someone you know is interested, you can fill out the form, go to pleasantridge.org, to the events tab, to Ridge Day, and there's a big sign right in the middle for the 2025 vendor form that you can fill out, and we'll get back to you once we get all the vendor forms in here in the next couple weeks, and it will fill up. So if you're interested, please put it in. We always get a ton of interest, but we can only fit 30. So please, if you're interested, fill that out quickly. And then the last thing, a little update on some of the confirmed events to get you excited for Ridge Day coming up. We're going to open up again with the Pleasant Ridge Marching Band, who are always a delight to have. The Woodford Academy Step Team is coming to give some performances. They are award-winning. It's going to be awesome to have the kids there. We'll also have other local dance schools come and give performances, a band in the evening, and we have several other special surprises that are like 90% confirmed, so I'll leave them to be a surprise, but if you follow the Ridge Day and Night Facebook page, everything's gonna be released here over the next 2 months. You're gonna see all the programs, all the sponsors, all the vendors, all the excitement, so go follow that on Facebook. We're so excited. We won't see you again until afterwards, because our next meeting is August 5th, so 8-2, come visit us Saturday, Muller parking lot, 4 to 10. We hope to see you there, and everything you'll do there helps support our community. So thank you for considering being a part of it. Did I miss anything? All right, here we go.
No updates from the comms team. You heard plenty about some of the things that they're working on, and you see their lovely newsletters. The spring newsletter was awesome. I was going to that, I was just saying. And do you want to speak or do you want me to speak? Sorry. I'll have Amy come up and speak for the youth committee, which is new and happening. We're so excited about it.
Okay, so we got a good start with the youth committee. It's very small still. We need new members, so reach out to any of the teams in the neighborhood that you know. We had a kickoff event at Goodfellas. There were 4 girls there, and we also have already had a follow-up activity. We helped at the Pocket Park this past Saturday. The same girls were there, which is great, and they helped out a lot for like 3 hours. They were out there working their little tails off, but they had some fun. They had some snacks, so I think they had a good time. They're hoping to pull together a car wash for their next event. So as soon as we can get the ball rolling, their wheels are spinning. It's so amazing to see that. And we have to reach out to I think we're gonna try to reach out to Pleasant Ridge Presbyterian Church to see if we can use their parking lot. If not, we'll reach out to Nativity. I'm hoping between 1 or 2, we'll be able to do that towards the end of July is the target. They want to raise money for an activity. We realize it's probably going to be too late for Ridge Day this year, but they hope to eventually pull something together as a special activity geared towards teens for Ridge Day. And they have some fun ideas for that, which I am not going to share right now. I'll just make you wait. So yeah, we need more members. I did talk with Savannah, so hopefully she'll help us spread the word.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Awesome. Question? Yes. So for the youth committee, we're basically looking for 13, 14 to 17, because as soon as you turn 18, you get a vote. Anytime we do a public vote, so it's intentionally for anybody who's not an adult. So it's for the youth of Pleasant Ridge. As a executive council, this would be before the most recent turnaround. We realized that there's a lot of things moving forward for families with young children in Pleasant Ridge, but the teenagers kind of just are left out there, and they're outside of this place right here. There's not a whole lot going on for them. So we wanted to give them voice, and then we can start moving the ball forward, but then being advocates for themselves. That's the goal of the youth committee. So you got neighbors that are in that age range who you think might be willing to hang out with some people their age and give some input, and then maybe come do some fun stuff. That'd be awesome. Any other questions? And thank you for pointing that out, Carl. All right, so I'm going to do quick reports for a couple of these. You'll see on there that the skipped parks. Our representative for the Pleasant Ridge Montessori LSDMC is not here, but I do have an update from Principal Donner at Woodford Academy. So with parks, Eric just wanted me to share that they had a great turnout at the Pocket Park. for the pollinator work that they're doing there, planting native plants. And he has his regular scheduled program that you can see on our calendar in terms of plantings and cleanups and whatnot via our Parks Committee. No other updates outside of that. Principal Donner wanted me to share 3 things about Woodford Academy. You didn't know when they rezoned kind of the school district because they're trying to add more middle schools. Woodford Academy was originally looked at to possibly become a middle school, a Clark middle school essentially. They were going to take the 7th and 8th graders from Clark, or 6th and 7th graders, one of the two, and put them there. They're going to move all those kids to Silverton Elementary and maybe a few to PRN, but mostly pretty much all to Silverton Elementary. The Board of Education decided, mostly due to neighborhood input, to hold off on that, and so they're kind of testing the enrollment at Woodford Academy. So she wanted me to highlight that enrollment is open there. So if you live in Pleasant Ridge, in fact, Pleasant Ridge is the neighborhood that most attends Woodford Academy, even though it's been a magnet school up until next year where it will be a neighborhood school. Pleasant Ridge actually is the greatest populator of that school out of all the city. If your Montessori does not work for your child, much like Montessori wasn't working for my child, Woodford is a great place. My son came alive academically this year, so I wanted to highlight that. They have small part-time position available for a pre-K nap aide. So if there's somebody they want somebody from the community who would be employed to basically help the actual educators with nap time. So if you've got time and something you're willing to do, she wanted me to highlight that. Nap aide is an interesting. It sounds like a business of sorts. A P&G wing. And the other one is they're excited. They have 2 different outdoor art projects happening this summer. One is a mural project with Soul Palette, which is a local organization. And then they have some outdoor ground murals happening with an organization also local called Most Outgrowing. Those are both happening this summer, so by the time school gets back, there should be some really cool arts features. So if you didn't know, Woodford Academy Arts and Culture is their what they've been a magnet school for, so that's kind of their main focus. So those things are all happening this summer between now and the next school year at Woodford Academy. And that ends that report, and I don't, Ms. Ruthane is not here. So we are now at the point in our meeting where we have 2 minutes per person for hearing of the public. I will note, if you're looking at whether it's the online version or you happen to get one of these physical copies, it says if you want official time in one of our meetings, you can email me directly and request time within the meeting to share. Those blocks are 5 to 10 minutes. Outside of that, during the hearing of the public, where we open the mic one at a time, those are 2 minutes. We do set a timer, and the timer does go off. In our meetings, we are working on an official policy, but in our meetings, particularly because of the location we're in, any petitions have to be signed before or after the meeting outside, not within the building and not during the meeting. And the last thing is, part of that principle that we're working on is for fundraising. We're going to be doing fundraising within our public meetings. Requests can be made and that we could possibly report on them, but we're not doing fundraising for outside organizations within our meetings. All good? So that's a preamble there.
Question, can the petition be signed in the hallway? After the meeting?
All the petitions have to actually be signed outside. It's actually a CRC thing that we learned about late.
I don't think this was covered, but maybe I missed it. The Schroeder schools being knocked down and redeveloped.
You're talking about the one in community, old Woodford and then Schroeder. So that was bought by Balchunas, I think is his last name, the Vandecar Corporation, and they are,
Well, there's a service entrance behind that out on Robison, and I don't know if that's gonna be used for ingress and egress for the redevelopment, because that certainly will affect the traffic onto Woodford as well, if it is. The entrance typically is off of Kennedy, but there's a back way that was used probably for deliveries and so forth off of Robison.
If you're online, it's comments about the service entry into the old Schroeder/Woodford school that is now being redeveloped. We don't have any insight into that yet, but that's something that I'm sure Kennedy Heights Community Council might have more information on. That actually is right where Kennedy Heights begins and Pleasant Ridge ends, so we don't have any view of that currently, but we could look into it if that's
Yeah,
something
I've
of
actually
concern.
heard concern raised by a resident of Woodford down there about how much traffic's gonna be coming in and out of there, and the need for more traffic control.
Kennedy Heights is already working on traffic control in that intersection.
Yeah, Kennedy Heights community budget requests included multiple stop signs and crosswalks right around, on both ends of these cushions, right around Robeson and Woodford, for both the play field and because of that upcoming project. They're also trying to get a hold of a piece of property right there off of Woodford, right near Robeson, for some community space and parking for the play fields. Okay, so if anybody would like 2 minutes time for during the hearing of the public, we are now taking turns. You can feel free to line up if you want, or you can come walk right up to the microphone. You will need to be on the microphone because we are recording this. Please introduce yourself.
I'm Robin Croach, and I'll be outside the front door after this meeting, gathering signatures on a referendum that is to get the issue on the ballot in this November, and it's the repeal of Ohio Senate Bill 1. That is the bill that passed in March, and it's where the state legislature is wanting to tell public colleges and universities what to teach, how to teach it. The thing people talk about the most is there's no DEI, no diversity, equity, or inclusion, which means you can have no services or programs specifically for women or veterans or any minority groups. So end of scholarships, end of clubs. Universities have already been closing down, like women's centers and things like that. So we're just trying to get 250,000 signatures from across the state to get this issue on the November ballot and hopefully keep that law from going into effect. And there are these little papers over there that have QR codes that can tell you more about it. It's a very long law. It's 40 pages of lots of details.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hi, how you doing? My name is Brendan Nix. I'm running for Cincinnati City Council. I talked to Jeff, email back and forth. I just want to let you know, keep doing good work. I was at community council for Kennedy Heights for 3 years, and I want to see you make a change. And I need 500 signatures for my name on the ballot. I got my petition. I'll wait till outside. If any more questions or my vision, anything, to let me know. I'll be happy to answer your questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Everybody's quick today. Good evening, my name is Carl Beckman. As of the other day, the water leak is still down at Lester and Highland Avenue. It's been about 3 months now. The orange cone is gone. There are other water main leaks on Ridge and East Galbraith Road. Those leaks are outside the city limits. I reported the potholes on Highland Avenue again. The city asphalt crews cannot find them. This is recently. The 311 system doesn't work as well as it should. Back in March, a driver blew a tire after hitting a pothole. Here's my tip. If you do blow a tire when hitting a pothole, take a picture of the pothole, check 311 for a previous report, and then file your claim against the city. As you know, I've been curious as to how the minivan ended up on the construction materials in the back of the new apartment building at Montgomery and Lester Road. Officer Miller did find the report with a different address. She was unable to give me the report number for whatever reason. In the old days, we had a captain over District 2 that believed in transparency, and I could follow these cases through the court system. On April 2nd, we had a storm move through the neighborhood. Several intersections were closed at 5 p.m. the next day. If we start closing down the streets due to traffic, people will not be able to access their property after a storm. The NIOPS CDC employees are out of work down on Ridge. If we have any of them as neighbors, let's try to help them find jobs. They're the kind of people that we want to keep in the neighborhood. The old John Nolan Ford dealership will become the new home for Meals on Wheels. They produce 1.2 million meals a year. It's going to be an expansion. They will provide meals to seniors who cannot pay, and they will also
hopefully be able to produce enough meals so that they can provide meals to seniors who can pay. There will be employees down there, and they will also need volunteers, and that's later on this year. They hope to have the building underway. They're working on the design right now. The website is much more than a meal.org. Thank you.
Thank you, Colonel. Right at 2 minutes, too. Look at you. Awesome. Is there anybody else who would like to share this evening? That looks like a no. Do we have any other questions or follow-ups before we motion to adjourn? All right. Would anybody like to make a motion to adjourn this meeting?
Yes.
Yeah, second?
Yes.
There you go. Well, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everybody, so much for coming out. Again, we do not have a public meeting in July. We will see you in August.
Talks for Rich Day, end of the meeting.